Hello everyone, my name is James Mora. I am a student of UAT, and today I'll be diving into my VRT232 final project. So the idea here was to create somewhat of a level that would focus on a lot of the elements that we saw on class, obviously a semester. And I think a lot of this, obviously gamification concepts could potentially, keep evolving, and there's so many right now that, we could definitely apply to a level like the one I'm going to show you, but obviously, depending on the theme, depending on the concept, it could be obviously open for interpretation. But one of the things that I will show you around as I'm navigating through the somewhat of the logistics of this project, obviously I'll show you somewhat of the backbones first, and then obviously somewhat of the gameplay, what it looks like. The idea here was to help the user navigate a lot easier, somewhat of a concept. They've never played it, obviously, what to follow, how to always obviously understand where to go, and obviously kind of give you the feel of an open world, and certain elements that were utilized for that, to give you somewhat of an open world to just kind of wonder type of situation. The second thing that the third thing that I will also go into is obviously how to increase gameplay, and at a very basic level. So obviously, limited time here that we had to kind of showcase a little bit of what we've been working on, but super excited to show you guys the level. So let me go ahead and minimize this for us, that way we can kind of get to see a little bit of the world itself. So, here you'll quickly realize that, it's a Unreal Engine platform that we worked on here today. And obviously, you see a two-level, somewhat of a platform. And let me go ahead and kind of show you guys somewhat of from above, kind of what is expected of this level. So, you got a first level ish, and then a second floor kind of situation. This was designed due to the fact that we wanted to make sure that there was an end game to the whole concept. As you can see, some of the elements here that were positioned into this particular level were things like lighting, right? So I mean, automatically I darkened the place a little bit to kind of give you that somewhat of a feel that you are, somewhat of a mysterious theme. I think we lean a lot of the aesthetics that, kind of drive, that concept. It also allowed me to position certain lighting, or even like, this fires right here that kind of literally let you know that, hey, there's something in there, something you got to do there. Same thing here. There's certain like glowing, triggers that we use to kind of guide the actual user. In here, I also utilize and part of my navigation, things like uh, this mirror effect that allows the user to somewhat, hey, there's another level that you got to go to. As I showed you in the beginning of this video, there's two levels to this somewhat scenario that I've created. So even if you just so happen to navigate and just be lost for like 15, 20 minutes, you know that there's something more that you have to do to get there. Once again, I use triggers like this one right here that, somewhat of a power up or something that something's going to happen there. Somewhat of an expectation for a lot of our gamers is that, when there's something there, the idea of kind of stepping on it or going to it is definitely, allows us to go, be wander around for us. I put a light here as well, so it actually kind of navigates the user, and once I lean a lot on somewhat of a gaming, um guidance, where like I lean a lot on lighting, to kind of navigate the user, and obviously see what to expect. Obviously when we go on game mode, you'll hopefully listen some of the things that I have implemented in here as well. That way, that it kind of sets the theme, and guides the user. The doors obviously that are triggered, obviously you want to go through the door. So obviously we lean a lot on that. And, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with, how to guide the user, through your world. I think it's important. and then obviously kind of go from there. In the third level, I mean, in the second level, I created somewhat of a puzzle. I think we've talked about how to increment, obviously understanding of the logistics of the game, meaning like the physics. Hey, how far can I throw this? Um, Not only that, but with puzzles, you lean a lot on the, gameplay, game time. So like maybe you want to spend some time here in this particular section of the area, and you're gonna do it. How can you kill some time, right? How can you extend that experience a little? So the puzzles actually, puzzles allow you to do that, and people kind of get creative about it. Um, I also wanted to kind of create somewhat of like a hey, you've made it kind of moment. So that's kind of where I put the flames, and entering here. There's a trigger that actually plays a song. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear. If not, definitely once we go gameplay on it. Once again, I introduced this for us. That way there is a somewhat of a hey, there's another world downstairs. You can go back and experiment. We talked about Grand Theft Auto in some of our classes and how that allows the user to somewhat, experiment throughout the world, but at the same time, kind of go towards the purpose why it was created. Guiding the user and obviously kind of go from there. So let's go ahead and hit play. Hopefully, it'll take me right to where I need to be. So here I use elements of, very visual elements, very aesthetic. The fog, kind of gives you somewhat of an element that, like, hey, like you're kind of supposed to be there, but not really. Very, Halloweenish kind of type of deal. So here, navigation wise, you're gonna you're gonna run into like I said, like I mentioned, there's this like this lighting there that it kind of insinuates that you got to go there. So obviously once you're in game mode, and obviously I was showing you guys the backbones, but like if you were just to kind of start from the beginning and you were about to play, like you would be lost. Like the idea here is to give this essence of loss, and we used fog to do that, right? But as you start discovering in the world, you start noticing that there's some things that are kind of don't add up, right? Like there's just things that, like for example, that visual here, that you're like, whoa, what is that, right? And it's in closed doors. We do close doors to obviously kind of like that forbidden, right? So something's going on there. What's going on? Um, you know, Games like zombies or like for Call of Duty, they use this a lot. They use this whole uh, mysterious way, and they guide you through this lighting. Essentially, once you kind of step in there, I have a trigger here that would allow hopefully the door to open. So that worked. What I wanted to do here is somewhat of a create like, hey, what's going on, right? Different angles allow you to kind of get curious, like, hey, there's something there, but I can't really, what is it, kind of jump. I purposely did this that it doesn't allow you to jump. I did create another character in there, so it's kind of one of those things like it creates momentum. Like, hey, what's going on here? So as you can see, you're navigating the world now. You kind of get acquainted, like, hey, there's doors that are opening, there's lights. What's going on here? So here, let's go ahead and open that door again. And what I did here was I created a light once you enter that door and come out, there's a trigger that as you come out, the light, kind of really blows up, kind of give you an idea like do not go back there is pointless. So as you can see, in gamification, you can use this type of elements to kind of guide the user. There's no point of their going back. So it does allow more lighting into the game. So now you're like, okay, there's only one way to go. There's only one way to do this. There's has to be now you're familiar with doors. Now you're like, okay, we kind of talked about this a little earlier, and then boom, right? That whole concept of like that looks dangerous, but there's no other way to go. There's no other thing else to do. Once again, guiding the user. Once you step on it, you see this green light, and like, hey, what's going on here? Let's go ahead and open that up. Sorry, and let's go ahead and once you got that green light. Green means something was completed. Once again, first time user, you're just like, hey, what's going on here, right? Hopefully, my one trigger allows me to do it, and I believe it should. Let me go ahead and um, transfer us. Hopefully, that trigger was uh, put in place. Oh, here, give me one second. I believe there it is. Yeah. So obviously there's some coding that has to be done. This, some of the things that we talked about in our project is in our classes. Obviously the time needed to really develop something like this. So um, it takes time. There's some bugs to be worked out, and I think it's part of the process. Um, with this game, some things that I've learned in other classes is just kind of how to transfer you to another location by using another player in a sense. So the teleporting kind of effect. Um, so I wanted to implement that. That was one of the coolest things that I've learned so far in other classes, and I want to implement it here. But the biggest thing here is also the this particular scenario where like, hey, there's two flames next to each other, like something gonna have to happen. Like you kind of get the idea here behind, like there's something kind of floating, and it's like, what is it, right? So it gives you somewhat of an expected action to make. Those are, I think, is important for gamification, kind of guiding the user. And then small elevator here that I created. And then here, you're not seeing it, you're not hearing it, but there is a sound that makes, which is like, hey, welcome to the final stage, right? Once again, we use these visuals to kind of showcase, other parts of the world, and then the puzzle right here. So you see indicators like, red, green, green go, um, red stop, wrong, right? And those are things that we lean on to kind of navigate the user for this type of games. The idea here is obviously to, you know, expand the time that you're going to be playing the game. This is a small scale of how to show people how to do this. If you had a multiple puzzles or different things that they needed to do, this is somewhat how you would do that. Obviously, I introduced logistics. One thing is more heavy than the other. There's a right and wrong. It's not as easy as it looks like, right? But you kind of get the idea that it needs to be done, right? And then boom, it's only good until it's green. So those little indicators allows users to really kind of provide a message, right? A completion message, and then um, you kind of get all green, which is somewhat of a successful. So couple things that I would like to kind of recap in this presentation and in this video is the fact that we used obviously Unreal Engine to develop a level that allows us to showcase how to navigate the user. We wanted to kind of give it some an open world. It's not done. The player can go back and obviously it's somewhat of an open navigate. I introduced this type of aesthetics. That way, it showcases other parts where you've been of the world. Once you start recognizing flames and the lights, you kind of know you got to go through it. You have somewhat of a tricks here that like, hey, like even though that was a you could go through that one door, it's not every single door you can go through, and then obviously lights that we lean on to navigate the user. So hopefully this allows you guys to see some of certain elements that we use at a very small scale. How to interact with the user, right? So how to keep them engaged, how to navigate the user, how to create puzzles to extend the gameplay. I've talked about, working out applications. I've talked about FIFA, how they literally put puzzles in. You might play for an hour, a puzzle and not really play the game. You're just kind of like completing challenges to kind of go to a next level. So kind of wanted to put that in perspective in this particular demonstration, and kind of go from there. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. Obviously, if you have any questions, let me know. But that is what I got for you guys. Thank you.